I will call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty.
Excuse me. First order of business, citizens to be heard. Do not see any hands raised here in the township building. Any in Zoom? None at this time? All right. Next order of business, Township Solicitor, Ms. Camp. We never got it.
Thank you. The first is to approve the memorandum of understanding for your new manager. As the board knows, you appointed Dawn at your October 26th meeting. There was a letter that was sent that was accepted that basically outlined the terms of the employment, but I believe it's chapter 29 of the town code does call for a memorandum of understanding to be drafted. This is the same format that you've had with prior managers, but obviously the terms of his employment that were set forth in the offer letter have been carried over into this memorandum of understanding. So it's just to authorize the president to sign the memorandum of understanding.
All right, commissioners, any questions on the MOU?
No.
Mr. Township Manager, any questions on the MOU? Before we take a vote, any questions from residents? Do not see any hand raised here in the township building. Any in Zoom? None at this time. All right, entertain a motion to approve and authorize the board president to sign the township manager MOU.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 5-0.
Well, that's a good sign.
Yes, good start.
It's been great working with you. The second matter is the consideration of a motion to approve the preliminary subdivision and land development application of 4102 Associates LLC. This is a combination or a reverse subdivision of two tax parcels, 39-1-114.1 and 39-1-114. This came before you as a conditional use, so you're going to be familiar with it. And this is only preliminary. So we have been seeing lately a lot of preliminary / final, but this is just the preliminary plans. That's all they filed for. So the applicant owns 6.93 acres located north of the Downingtown Bypass, east of Bonsall Road, south of Edges Mill Road, and that's with the address of 4060 Edges Mill Road. They also own the adjacent 6.025 acre parcel to the east, which is at 4102 Edges Mill Road, and that property is already developed with all Phil's, commercial building. They want to develop on the 4060 property a one-story building with a footprint of 41,000 square feet, 56 off-street parking spaces, sidewalks, stormwater management facilities, and other site improvements. They're going to consolidate the two parcels together so that once consolidation occurs, it will be a 12.951 acre parcel. They're also intending to modify the existing driveway to the two parcels that lead from Edges Mill Road. The property is in the C2 Regional Commercial District. The board approved the conditional use to allow the building to be used for flex space in a decision and order dated December 22nd, 2022. They submitted the preliminary land development plans in the spring of 2022. The last revision date of the plans is October 6, 2023. There have been many consultant review letters. The most recent from the township engineer, Arrow, dated December 6th. Pannoni as the traffic engineer. The last review was April 26, 2023. The municipal authority sewer engineer also has reviewed this, as well as the historical commission. So at the December 19th, 2023 planning commission meeting, the planning commission recommended that the board grant preliminary approval, subject to applicant complying with any outstanding comments in the consultant's reviews. The proposed motion would grant the preliminary plan approval with several conditions. The first one would just be that the plans comply with all provisions of the zoning ordinance, subdivision ordinance, and stormwater ordinance, unless waived. And there are 4 waivers that the applicant is requesting. The first is to not be required to locate on the plan all existing trees with 12 inches or more of caliper. I guess just because the number of trees is so significant for how many trees you'd have to be placing on showing. Is that okay? The next one is to not require infiltration. This is from the stormwater ordinance, and instead to allow what's called a proposed managed release basin, which provides slow release of the required water quality and runoff volume. The soils on the property are not suitable for infiltration, so they're asking for that waiver. The second one, again, similar, is 135-306 to allow this managed release basin. And then the last one is to not require the stormwater pipes to have a minimum slope of 1%. I'm going to go through the motion and then I'm going to turn it over to the applicant, counsel, and engineer if you have any questions. They have to comply with the terms of the conditional use decision. They are requesting, there's one section of your ordinance that does allow the board to modify what's allowed to be disturbed and what's considered riparian buffer zones. And they're asking for that modification. They are showing a level spreader, which is part of the stormwater facility, and part of the stormwater end wall to be located within what's identified as riparian buffer zone 2. So again, I'll ask them to maybe show that to you. The rest of the conditions are pretty standard. They have to comply with any outstanding comments in the review letters. They do have to comply with the Township Historical Commission letter of November 12, 2021, which was also a condition in the conditional use order. I just wanted to call it out again to make sure that wasn't forgotten. They have to obtain their sewer planning module approval from the CTMA and do anything else the CTMA requires for them to get public sewer. There is a payment for, instead of providing open space on the plan, the order would make them pay $35,055, which is the fee in lieu of the open space. They must execute the form development agreements, financial security agreement, stormwater management agreement, pay any outstanding fees, provide the township with copies of the recorded plan. So those are the proposed conditions. Do you want to maybe, I don't know if the board has any questions on the plan, or if you want them to make a presentation of what's being proposed.
Let's go with the presentation.
Sure. Denise, can you upgrade? Oh, there.
Yeah, I did.
Good evening. My name is this on?
I hope so.
I'll speak loud enough. My name is Bob Tucker. I'm the attorney representing the applicant. Ms. Camp did an excellent job providing a background overview and status of this application. Again, we're seeking approval only, so we'll be back for a more thorough review, final plan development. Again, the Planning Commission recommended approval, so we're here asking that you adopt the right here. I'm going to turn it over to our project engineer, Chris Daly, to go through the project a little bit and answer any questions you have.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Chris.
Chris Daly with Hal Engineering. Kristen did a great job explaining pretty much what's on the plan here and where we are with the approvals. I also want to add that we submitted for the NPDS permit, submitted that application that's under review by the Conservation District. Highway occupancy plan is also under review by PennDOT, and also as part of this project, and actually required as part of conditional use, we're bringing water to the property. So we actually just recently received approval from Aqua to extend the main from 322 to the site. So we're very far along in the approvals. Again, we're just here tonight for preliminary. Still have to tie up some loose ends with PennDOT, with Conservation District, before we go for final approval. As I mentioned, spoke to Mark at the Planning Commission meeting. We did address all of the comments from the Historical Commission. I thought I submitted it to the township, but I'm going to send it directly to you, Mark. I did not forget. I'll make sure I get that to you early next week. This project's been going on for a little while. Over 40,000 square foot flex building is proposed. It's going to have its own parking facilities and loading area, stormwater management basin, rear of the loading dock. Both buildings are going to tie in to the sanitary sewer, the force main that runs parallel to the 30 bypass. We're working with the sewer engineer on that. There are 5 waivers we're requesting. I believe one of those waivers may be a little ambiguous. That has to do with the relief we need to disturb within the riparian buffer. The only reason we're proposing to do that is because there's an existing basin out there today, and the discharge pipe associated with that is in the riparian buffer. To avoid any further disturbance, unnecessary disturbance of removing that pipe, we're proposing to utilize the pipe that's there and just construct a repair or a level spreader just downstream of it, which require disturbance in the riparian buffer. And there's also a portion of the sanitary sewer that's going to tie into the existing main that's out there, the existing lateral that's also in the riparian buffer. That's going to require some disturbance.
To upgrade for what?
Exactly, to tie into the existing condition. This is the purpose of the road.
Yes, I don't even know. It's not like the other sections where the stand and then there's just a. This is not the section on like second, wide effort. So I didn't even characterize it. I just believe that that section was
Could you just point out on the map where this riparian buffer is that will be affected? So you're pointing out to the back end of the property up against the bypass? Mhm. And just back to the mic, if you could, just for the folks. Thank you.
So the riparian buffer, the way it's defined in the ordinance is zone 1 is 15 feet offset from the stream bank. And then another 35 feet off of that 15 is zone 2. So a total of 50 feet for the riparian buffer. Now, this site does have some floodplain, calculated floodplain associated with it. And the ordinance does define the buffer as extending to that floodplain boundary if it does extend past 35 feet. So that's what we're encroaching into. Correct.
Didn't realize there was a stream there. Is it up against 30 bypass?
It runs north to south to the west of the property line.
Okay. Okay. You good.
I do see a mouse moving. Is that you, Don? Okay, good. Okay.
I thought she meant a real mouse. I was gonna jump.
It is Fields.
And then the other two are because I'm assuming the soils are not good for infiltration, and you have to do this new kind of basin that we're hearing more of, this MRC basin.
Exactly. So we did a whole bunch of tests throughout the site, as required by the township and as required by the conservation district. All of those tests came up at a rate of under 0.1 inches per hour, which is the minimum required by DEP. And there were also some areas where there was just a shallow limiting zone, which was rock, or I don't think we had any shallow groundwater. It was mainly rock. So because of those poor tests, instead of infiltrating into the ground, we are proposing a slow release system, which is essentially a system that was devised by DEP that's called a managed release concept. And that's what we're proposing. That basin that's behind the loading area right there is the managed release basin.
Okay.
Just a stupid question. Was that on the last plan? Like
Yes.
this? I'm still, I always have concerns about those two historic properties just to the west of the trees there. I think one of them's actually on flat ground, like it's not, doesn't even have a foundation. With the disturbance of the flood zone and the riparian buffer, can you guarantee that there won't be any issues with those two historic properties?
Well, I think the historic building you're referring to is very close to Edges Mill Road. And the
Uh,
riparian buffer where we're gonna be disturbing is right up against the 35
Right,
base.
yeah,
So-
I know, but it all involves Beaver Creek and the creek goes by all of that, so that's why I was asking.
Oh, yeah, but there's very minimal disturbance that's happening. I mean, we're
Okay.
talking about just constructing a very, like a 20-foot long concrete curb
Mhm.
to comply with the ordinance, because the ordinance does say if you're gonna discharge into zone 3 of the riparian buffer, discharge into a level spreader. So to comply with that section,
Mhm.
it requires us to disturb into zone 2, but we don't anticipate any impacts, any negative impacts on the historic properties.
Thank you.
Talk about how the stormwater gets built. Does that come first before the building?
Yeah, actually, the base in that location there, it's gonna be a sediment trap.
Okay.
So that's gonna be one of the first items that's constructed. So they'll construct the sediment trap, they'll install a compost filter sock all along the downstream portion of the property. And then once everything's built, everything's vegetated, contractor will go back there and convert it into the managed release basin.
Also talk about, I remember us talking about how you would direct trucks or anything like that, that it wouldn't be via 340, but via 322.
There's conditions of that. in the
Okay.
condition code.
So I just want to clarify that for everybody that's here, that we did talk about that.
Let me
Um,
find the.
Yeah, that's a condition and PennDOT's requiring it also.
Okay.
So as part of the PennDOT approval and plans that PennDOT's reviewing, we're also going through that with them. So there's gonna be signage that's added, that's restricting it.
Okay.
And I
Right.
think we also discussed during the conditional use process of ways that, the applicant's just going to convey to those truck drivers. They cannot come from or go to.
Yeah, let me read the condition. So condition 8 says applicant shall prohibit truck traffic from turning left out of the property onto Edges Mill Road. Applicant shall install signage on Edges Mill Road that states all truck traffic must exit right. And then finally, applicant shall also advise all delivery vehicles and suppliers of this restriction and shall take measures to enforce the same. Condition that will run with this use.
Also, I think the addition of the water line is a good idea. If my memory serves me right, that the residents that border that can hook up, but don't, it's not like sewer, they don't have to hook up. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. But I do think that the water line is a good idea, and I think that having access for our residents to, water would be especially good for them along that road.
Yeah, if you recall, the prior applicant, which I think Chris was also the engineer for, they got a variance to not do the public water connection. So this is definitely an improvement with this type of a use to be connected to the public water and a significant expense for the applicant.
Yeah, and it's gonna be also obviously very good for fire protection. also.
Correct. Are you adding hydrants along the Edges Mill Road, or?
Yeah, we're adding one fire hydrant that fronts our property.
Okay.
As advised by Ray Stackhouse.
Okay.
Where is the aqua line coming from?
Coming from 322. The intersection of Edgehill
Really?
Road and 322.
Okay.
That's on the south side.
The water line? The water line will be installed, yep, along the south side.
Good hike?
It's very long length, yep.
Well worth it. All right. Commissioners, any other questions? Good. Let me ask the residents here in the township building. Do we have any questions? We do have a hand raised. Kathy, come on up. Yep. Speak into the mic, just name and address.
And I'm happy you guys are
Kathy, got
great.
give your
Oh,
name and
sorry,
your address.
Sorry, I think you guys have been great neighbors so far, so totally get everything. So I know you can't take a left out of your building, but you can't come over the Edges Mill Bridge the other direction, right? Is that was decided as well? Because you can't make the turn.
That was
trucks
part of
can't
the
make turn?
conditional use, that they can't turn left out of there, and they would advise everybody that they need to come via 322.
Right, coming into the property.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so not over the bridge.
And Kathy, could you just state your name and address?
No, it's not.
We just need name and address for the
Oh,
record,
Kathy
that's all.
Callahan, 931 Bondsville. Sorry, guys, that was truly on the record. Very sorry.
Kathy, it's not
No,
selfish.
perfect.
That is the
Thank you so
most
much.
pristine, historic area in this township.
It's okay to have a concern. All right. No more hands raised here in the township. Do we have any in Zoom? None? None at this time. All right, commissioners, I'll entertain a motion, to approve the preliminary subdivision land development approval for 4060 Edges Mill Road.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 5-0. Okay, see you guys back soon. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care, guys. The Cohen Law Group, we don't need her for that? No, okay.
We've always used him.
Mhm.
I can't.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Ms. Camp, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Next on the agenda, Township Manager. Mr. Vimazal. Say that 10 times fast.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you for approving the review. I do appreciate that, of course.
Thank you.
Now, not a great deal on the agenda for this evening. First, of course, was just referenced. Solicitor Camp had a chance to review the Cohen Law Group Verizon Cable Franchise Renewal Service. This is a legal team that coordinates with multiple municipalities throughout Chester County. They've done so in the past. The amount listed on the agenda is the max amount authorized under the current contract. As far as the way they structured is, as more municipalities join this agreement, they'll provide a bigger discount. So the amount listed represents the fact that the county will be going alone. If 2 to 7, I believe it's a 5% discount. If 8 to 15 enter into an agreement, it's a 10%. If 16 to 22, I believe, it would end up being a 15% discount. And at the last time they contracted with Chester County municipalities, over 22 had signed agreements with this firm. So I fully expect a 10 to 15% discount on that fee. So the top rate listed here is if we were the only ones to sign an agreement, which would be surprising based on past action. This is listed as a discussion. But again, solicitor has reviewed the contract and has worked with them in the past and has had favorable outcomes.
All right, and this agreement expires in 2 years, within 2 years?
It does. In the contract terms, they have a pretty lengthy ramp up period of due diligence.
Mhm.
So reviewing essentially an audit of the past outcomes, looking at each individual municipality's percentages in terms of what they received, determining if they're eligible for additional revenue, and then negotiating directly with Verizon for an updated contract. In their proposal, they claim that in the past they've been successful in recouping funds in and above the amount of the contract fee for individual municipalities. Obviously, that they can't guarantee that into the future, but it is something that they indicate.
Yes, just so everybody's clear, this is, so both Comcast and Verizon pay the township for the use of their right of ways. And that's what this law firm does, is that they negotiate with Verizon and Comcast on our behalf, as well as audit them, because we get a percentage of the TV and I think like movies and things like that that come streaming to you. But this is traditional cable, not anything like Netflix or anything like that. So we get a percentage of the cost that they recoup from cable bills. So just so that everybody's clear what we're talking about.
Thank you, John.
And they're usually they used to be 10-year agreements. Now I think Verizon wants 5.
They've
More
been
likely.
cut back, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, last time this was signed was July 2021. So, yeah, it's going to be a 2-year process.
Give or take. They are requesting any interested municipalities sign on now as so they can prepare the necessary staff that they need in order to represent the number of municipalities interested.
All right, commissioners, any questions on this?
Could I ask, like, what percentages have we received in the past from these contracts?
So I believe
Notable?
it was a 5% of the total revenue, and part of their process will be to audit the past to see if we're eligible for any additional funds. I think it was Josh, I mean, excuse me, Mr. Young, in terms of the Commissioner Young, in terms of past contracts, which before my time, that believe that was correct, roughly.
Yeah, Lisa, do you remember what the total? It's yeah, I was going to say
It's
300,000.
notable, it's worth, yeah. Okay. Okay.
And remember, that's both from Comcast and
And,
Verizon.
right, great.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? Residents here in the township building, any questions on this item? None at this time. Zoom? None at this time. Commissioners, entertain a motion to approve the proposal for Cohen Law Group and with the not to exceed amount of $9,975.
Are we approving or is this just a discussion?
This is,
Oh,
Quick
it's
point
just a
of order.
discussion.
For this would be on the January 25th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate that. All right.
I was ready to vote.
Yeah, so did I.
okay.
So you said just jumping into. All right, next on the agenda?
Next item on the agenda, this is an agreement, a contract with Signal Service. This is the organization that is responsible for upkeep, maintenance, repair of traffic signals throughout the township. This is a 2-year agreement with Signal Service. This is the company the township has had in the past. The rates have not increased since under the current agreement, which did expire, and verified with Mr. Stackhouse and Mr. Huggins that the list of traffic signals included in the contract is accurate.
Just one question outside of that. The agreement's fine with me. I had thought in the past we put battery backups into the Lincoln Highway lights, traffic lights. That in an emergency, the battery would keep the light operating. So if we could find out whether that was true, and if it is true, are they just not? Because when I came home from through the storm the other day, all the lights on Lincoln Highway were out, and nobody was. You're supposed to act like a stop sign, and nobody was stopping. So if we can figure out whether if we have battery backups and they need replaced, then let's do that. If not, if it's available, I think that would be a wise spend of money to put, if it's available, to put battery backups into it. Because it was like a free for all on Lincoln Highway with the lights out.
That's awful.
And
So-
I can't have that.
There
Yeah.
must be one at the Gardner's Bridge on Lloyd Avenue because, you know, that light was on. It was the only thing on.
I had thought when we upgraded all of the lights along there to LED, I thought we put battery backups, but maybe we didn't. That was Jeff back
Yeah.
then that I thought he said that we had installed battery backups. But if so, they're not working anymore. I know in long term we have all those generators that we got from a Homeland Security grant that we take out and chain to the poles. But you know, if in the short term we can just get a battery backup, that would be ideal.
Happy to look into that. Certainly.
Chief, do you remember if we had battery backups in them?
Yeah.
By the time we got information that the lights were out, fortunately, he must have came through it at that short period of time before they were restored. They weren't out for a very long time. There were other ones that were, but not those that you're mentioning now. But the battery backup question, I don't know. Any intersections controlled by traffic lights that were out and didn't come back. I know Public Works, went out with the generators.
It unfortunately, it takes time to do that, to
Agreed.
get people here
Yep.
and
Yeah,
pack them up and
accidents
drive
happen in
them
a real
out.
short period of time,
Yeah.
agreed. Yep.
Thank you. That was and it just reminded me of that when it was on the agenda.
And just a quick question about the battery backups. How long are they, do they normally last?
I don't know that you can, I'm just from memory trying to remember how long they were or whether we had them. I don't know if it's even feasible to do that, but, it just, I remember Jeff saying something about temporary battery backup and probably a battery backup only lasts 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, I would think.
With the frequent storms, I'll be happy to look into feasibility if it was installed and if it's functioning properly, and if it was not installed, if it's what the cost would be and the feasibility at those locations.
I think we need them operating.
Our police force can't be at every single intersection.
That's next year. And just to confirm, is this the same rate that we had, previously with Signal
7,500?
Service?
So commissioners, any other questions on this? None at this time. Here in the township building, any residents have a question? No hands raised here. Zoom? Okay. Yeah, perfect. Well, this time I'll entertain a motion to authorize and approve the township manager to sign the agreement with Signal Service in the amount of $7,500.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. Close third, Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's good, 5-0. All right, next on the agenda?
The next, it's a
Yeah, but
discussion listed. Wasn't me. Discussion listed for the Spackman Davis Farm. And, having been with the township for just over a month, I can say that that property has come to my attention quite frequently. I had the privilege to go up to visit that location more than once in the short time I've been here, and I have to say on both occasions it is a gorgeous piece of property. Really, because there's so much opportunity at that location, and speaking with members of the board, felt that I took some time to investigate just to get acclimated with the history of what has happened with the township since that property was purchased, and felt it would be welcome from my standpoint, from staff standpoint, from the boards and the community standpoint to have a discussion, get some guidance from the board as far as best foot forward with the use of that property moving forward. I know there was a study done some time ago, I think 16, 17 years at this point. Had an opportunity to review that study. There are some things in there I think are fantastic, others that may not have aged as well in the current day. But really this, as far as a discussion item, wanted to put it out as, I know staff has ideas and the board has ideas, and we're having input from the community, so felt it would be a good opportunity to start 2024 with this item discussed.
I know we were all getting jittery when we read that.
Can I tee it up?
Sure.
I'm really glad this is on here, and this is big topic. Is going to take a long time. I've been fortunate to have 3 articles I wrote published on Spackman Davis Farm now, so I'm a little too close to it to just step back. So I just want to give everyone some history on it. For anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who's watching the replay of this, Spackman Davis Farm is historic. It stretches out over 200 acres along Kings Highway, bordered by Fisherville and North Bailey Roads, right where it has stood since the late 1700s. It is the longest single lineage family farm in Callan. and one of the few that still produce crops each year. It has been documented in the history of the Underground Railroad in Chester County. Its crops and livestock provided for the Union Army in the war against slavery. It was saved on numerous occasions by women who didn't pull much weight in those days, but they were fighters. Its family members went on to be executives in iron, steel, and banking, as well as a trailblazing public school educator. Some of the most famous names in town have ties to the farm. In the early 2000s, as was mentioned, matriarch Marion Griffiths, don't ask me why her name is Griffiths, I'll tell you later. When she was ready to move on, she wanted her family heritage to be remembered and preserved. So she sold it to Cowan Township with the hope that the farmhouse and barn would last forever. The park plan was drawn up in 2007. Financial crash put the brakes on that. The farm sat and deteriorated. In 2020, when the township approved a new roof for the 1804 bank barn, which was about to collapse. And that barn is one of the finest and largest surviving bank barns in Chester County. Past year and a half, much work has been done to resurrect the farm, and there's so much more to do. Last summer, the farm came alive again, as did the ghosts of the generations who so lovingly cared for this precious resource. Over 300 people came from around the county and beyond to experience the magic that is Spackman Davis Farm. More public events are being planned for this year, and we all look forward to doing some bigger, more exciting things there in the upcoming year and beyond. That's what I wanted to say.
I guess I'll give a little history too. I was on the committee that created the park plan. I was the board representative for that. When we designed that, we kind of envisioned it to be more of a passive, just kind of park that you can walk around. There was a few activities in there, but you know, I think time has changed. I think, you know, some of those things in there probably, like Don said, haven't aged well. You know, but I think it behooves us to try to get a way to get people access to that farm, whether it's just mowing around and having a path that's just maintained grass, or whether we begin to endeavor into paved paths around there. But you know, it all started with Mark and his group, as well as getting that driveway paved. That was a huge hurdle that we got over. It would be great to see that place, you know, bustling with people who want to walk. For people that live at that end of the township, we don't have a lot of sidewalks and things where we can walk. You certainly don't want to be walking up and down my road on Barley Sheaf. It'd be nice to have somewhere. And before the pandemic, I was an avid runner, and there's Geo Carlson, you can only run so many times before it becomes a boring path for you. So it'd be nice to have somewhere to go that you could challenge yourself on rolling hills and things. So I'm all for whatever moves us forward to get that place open to the public.
Commissioners? Any comments on this? Any?
Again, at 200 acres, I mean, that's a lot. So it can do a lot, you know, it's just in having a vision, sharing the vision, you know, what our residents would like to see it used as, to become multi-purpose for so many things. I think it's more discussion needed to look in to see, you know, what we can really do there, you know, in the way of pavilions. I've heard for wedding venues, and, you know, we don't have an amphitheater here in the township. So there's no limit to what potentials we can have. I just think it takes more discussion to see, you know, what the costs and what kind of grants are out there to bring these type of things into the Spackman Farm, just to bring it alive. It's just a beautiful place. And
We'll say people really care about it, because
yeah,
we will get more calls if something happens there than if your trash doesn't get picked up. The one year they sprayed the field and it turned yellow. I don't know what they sprayed it with, but at the time, Greg Braun said he got 40, 50 phone calls fielded from people because
Wow.
they were concerned about what was going on at the farm.
Yeah, it's, the 2007 plan did not age well. It really did not. And like Josh was saying, the idea for a passive recreation park is the most desirable from probably the historical commission standpoint, with paths and pathways and trails and an artist meadow and eventually people investing if we have a 501c3 to get the barn into a wedding event space and perhaps a bed and breakfast and township historical museum in the farmhouse. But it's got to be done, you know. It's like the how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. There's an 11-acre section there right now where the barn and the house and the great lawn are, the land behind it. So I would suggest that, you know, as we move forward with any discussion thing, that's where we focus for now to keep, we don't have to spend much money. Just get it open a little bit. I'd like to see the agriculture continue there.
That was always the plan
Yeah.
as part of
Yeah.
the original one, was that where the farm is,
Mhm.
essentially we would continue to farm it and just have paths around there.
Yeah.
I don't know how the farmer feels about that, but you know, and that's the other thing, you know, when we did that, we didn't include the farmer in any of those discussions. So that should be something we talk about with them. If you want to do a new plan, you know, and Don, I'll yield to you on this. If some of these state grants require plan like we had in 2007, if we didn't go that route, do you think we would still be eligible for grant money, or do we need a plan to really go after grant money?
I think it will, of course, depend on the funding source.
Mhm.
As you referenced, even if a application does not require a plan, if you have one, it does benefit. I think they view a project that has taken the first step, if not two, forward as more viable in terms of funding and investing taxpayer resources in, as compared to one that's just getting started. That said, there are programs that recognize not every community, you know, has funds available in which to take that first step. So there are some planning grants available that I'd be happy to look into if the board would like, and bring that back for further discussion and consideration.
And just so we're clear, that process would take 9 months to a year to probably complete.
Just to get the plan.
Yeah. Now, when we did it last time, we did get, I think, a county grant, a vision planning grant, like we did for the zoning. But we also applied to PICO for their Growing Greener grant. I think we got $7,500 for that. So there is other, and we used that as part of our match for the county. So I think in all that plan didn't cost us very much at all, you know, in Callan Township dollars.
I think having a plan in place, even though it's a little dated, a lot of that information remains relevant. So not starting from scratch, we can incorporate a lot of the information provided from that plan into future renderings, plans, things of that sort.
Having looked at the various iterations, the pre-final was the one that just, you know, that resonates with me. Doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles, just a lot of beauty. It has the wedding venue. Yeah, it just my opinion, but yeah, if you want to go see what's out there, go to it.
Yeah, if you're able to reach out, see what kind of grants you can come up with, that would help. What I, you know, when Mark, myself, and Jane ran for office back in 2020,
2019.
well, 2019, we were running
Oh, wow.
and elected in
Uh-huh.
2020. One of our goals was to see this park come to fruition. You know, and not in our term, because this is a 10-year project, 20-year project. I think it, you know, like Mark had mentioned, it's one bite at a time. But the original plan that was put out at 2007, it's opening up this park. Right now, sure, we're making money off the farmer, and that's helping to pay for the roof of the barn. But eventually, I believe that this township needs a municipal park that everyone can go and enjoy. The amphitheater alone was my selling point. You know, just the idea that we
Space.
would have a certain spot to go there and just kind of enjoy, you know, little plays for the kids and whatnot, just the entertainment. Um, the exercise, the health benefits of just walking 200 acres of land, and we're not going to use all. But one of the items Abby had brought up is a little section for the kids to learn, yeah, the gardening and whatnot. So there was a lot of benefits, and yes, I do believe that the original plan is kind of outdated, but I think if we can take a look at that, maybe throw some other ideas into it, and see what else we can come up with. And if there's a grant to help us take our first couple steps, I think that's wonderful. That's what I would like to see. The house and the barn, we need to save that. And I know we do, hopefully at the next meeting, we can discuss the placement of the roof on the main house. Cause we did get pricing on that. Because that is township property. We need to make sure that as long as it's under our watch, and that's the original reason why we took care of this barn, is no more deterioration from a historical site like this. So we do need to take those steps to maintain that. If a 501c3 is created, and it'll,
Generate more
I-
giving.
I guess, help us save the house even further, because, you know, we are talking about township tax dollars. That needs to be incorporated as well. So, but I do believe the idea of that municipal park really needs to grow. And I believe a lot of folks, especially, you know, folks that live around that area, like Josh had mentioned, that's a perfect spot to get your exercise in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Paul was saying about the house, unless you've been in the house, there's things you don't know. Like on the tour, we were pointing out that if you look at the ceilings, it's wavy, kind of looks like wavy paint, and it's on the walls as well. Through the majority of the oldest section of the house is from, it says 1776, but we believe it's 1757. And it was explained to us that that wavy is because they painted with a feather.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it's still there. But
Historic value.
when the rain keeps coming in and that roof keeps deteriorating,
Goes with it, yeah.
that's all.
Is it possible for next meeting? I don't know how soon you can look into things, but I would like to have, remember the diagram that we have for the original plan? Maybe we can just kind of spark some interest from residents to get involved in this as well. Because, I mean, eventually that's who's going to enjoy this.
Absolutely. I'll have
Some
that
ideas.
prepared
So-
and spend some time looking into possible funding revenue to bring to the board for consideration.
Okay, perfect.
I think, too, the roof is very important, but is there any other immediate needs, you know, that need to be addressed immediately versus things that we can put into the plan and, you know,
The porch is starting to separate from the house and pulling the wall with it. The front.
okay.
Well, that's another.
On the house.
Thank you.
But yeah, anything that would jeopardize, I guess, the structure,
Yeah,
you know, like the roof would jeopardize the structure if it continues to leak. So maybe we can get a list of what those immediate needs are, and then, you know, like trails and paths and stuff that can come
Oh,
at
yeah.
a later date.
Now, Paul Stevens, he put together a breakdown of
the needs.
the needs for that. Can we just take a look at that again as well? I
Yeah.
don't know if that's outdated at this point or
No,
Or it
in
was,
fact,
on the mark?
his description of the lifespan of the roof, because there's 3 roofs,
Mhm.
and he had the lifespan, the oldest section is already beyond its lifespan. The second one is now hitting its lifespan, and the third one.
Okay.
But he also put things in there like not every, once we have a roof, it's another discussion.
Mhm.
The boards that, where the floors had buckled inside, Paul showed us how to repair them ourselves.
Yeah.
So you don't need contractors coming in to do that. You just take one of the boards out and you even it out and put the board back down. But you have to stop the water from coming in first.
And since we have electric,
Yeah.
do we already have dehumidifiers, set up in the basement?
Not sure.
I
We
know
don't,
that
we
was-
will.
Okay.
Abby was talking to the electrician about that. I don't know if
And-
they're there yet,
Okay.
but we need them.
Good discussion.
Yeah.
Residents, any comments? We just wanted to put it on the table and throw it out there.
Any of you have anything to say?
Oh, there is one online.
Mhm.
No, nobody here in the township building? They all just love the idea. Do we have somebody in Zoom?
We do.
Yes, Mark.
Sorry, it took a minute for it to come up to unmute. I think it's all a great idea. And I've enjoyed a park very close there, which is Bondsville Park. And that's been done by grants and volunteers. And if you've gone up there and hiked some of their trails and seen the butterfly gardens and all the other projects they're doing, they're getting that all through grants and volunteers. So, it might be a good footprint for us to look at going forward, what their plans are, maybe get together and try to put it together as one, great place in Chester County that everybody can enjoy.
It's a great idea, Mark. Thank you. Actually,
Mark.
we've been talking with, I've been talking with Jim Buxela from East Brandywine, who spearheaded that whole thing. And we've been picking his brain for how did you do it? How did you do it? And so, yeah, you're right on spot there. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. No further discussion at this time. Maybe we can put it on the agenda for next, just keep it moving.
All right.
Perfect.
you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Good discussion.
Yeah. Gilmore. Minutes to approve. We have December 14th minutes. And Commissioners, Denise had put at your desk here just a couple minor changes.
Yeah, we saw
Yeah, I
the
saw it.
changes.
And if we're all okay with that,
Mhm.
Fine.
entertain a motion to approve December 14th minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Which is good, 5-0. I did not see Planning Commission minutes to be accepted. I'm not sure if we're just not, there were none or they just were not on the agenda.
That's right.
You did not have a quorum. You did not.
No, there was not.
No,
Okay,
gotcha.
good. Next on the agenda, Finance Department, Ms. Swan. Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything. Hey, we're doing great. We got money in the bank.
They're in black and white. I'm gonna reserve that for my director, report at the end of January.
Oh, okay. Well, then we're just
But I
entertaining.
am available to answer any questions on the bills list.
Commissioners, any questions on the check run? Check run 51,247 and 51,382 with a manual check at 298. Any questions, concerns? If not, entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Young, second by Commissioner Tindaro. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Motion's good, 5-0. Liaisons. The appointments. Denise, thank you so much for breaking this out here. I read the whole list last time around, so I get to read it again. Just the two minor changes. In zoning, you wanted to be, the main liaison.
Either that or planning.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, I talked to Lorraine earlier. Yeah, zoning.
I think, yeah, I think, and I'm giving up COG, so. maybe-
Right.
maybe
Oh, you
Lorraine
giving it
will
up?
like it. Yeah.
When did you give it in?
I never knew I was on it.
Oh,
Yeah, so
it was good.
anybody else want to be on COG, just a second alternate?
I think Lorraine would be great on that.
No, well, you're gonna do it, aren't you?
I can do it if nobody wants to do it.
Do it, Paul.
put 10 years in.
Okay.
stamped my card.
It'll be easy for you.
Okay. All right, so just the change would be COG, Ms. Kennedy or Commissioner Kennedy for liaison and myself would be alternate. For zoning, Commissioner Evans would be liaison and Commissioner Tendero would be alternate. Pensions.
Yeah, how did I
She
get
wrote
there?
down- Yeah, Jane had this question look on her face and that was over the phone.
What is that?
When did you do
I didn't.
it?
Yeah. So what was pensions? And I'm sorry.
I didn't know that was even a
Pensions.
board. When did that become a
So
board?
there is a pension committee,
Committee, but
police
there's,
pension. It's police
Police
pension.
That's
You're
what I
right.
thought.
Yeah, because that's the only pension we control.
Well,
but
you're-
that's not a board, is it?
Well, when I was on it at one point, we met quarterly to go over with the consultant, not consultant, but investment company. We would go over how they invested the money and how it was spent and all of that. I remember during 2008, I was on the pension committee. We were meeting weekly to try to stop the bleeding as the market fell.
Oh,
So, you know, there was a committee prior to Kristen. I don't know whether that needs to happen. The manager is always the administrator of the pension, but it was 2 police officers. It was 2 board members. Chief, were you on it? Yeah, so there were 5 members. So did we even meet when Kristen was here for the pension committee?
We stopped meeting during the pandemic, but we met quarterly at one time, and I know we still get reports from Connors, that,
We do. We
Yeah.
get them quarterly from Connors. We did meet, I guess it was before COVID.
Yeah.
Steve Potager, he did reach out during the interim, and I asked him if he would mind holding off until township manager was hired. So we do owe him a phone call. It's a good thing to get together to do. It's very informative.
So who was on that committee? Did it say?
As a board?
I thought you were.
Yeah, Denise
thought
just
he
wrote
was.
in Jane's name. I
Yeah.
would assume it would be the same as finance and
Yeah.
budget. That's what
Okay.
I,
Makes sense.
so do you just want to keep it at that? Josh,
Yeah,
you would
that's
be
fine.
liaison and I would be alternate?
Well, it would be both of us because we would
Oh.
both be on the pension committee.
Oh, okay, that's how that works?
Yeah, so there were 2 commissioners, 2 police officers,
Mhm.
the chief, and then the
Township
finance
manager.
director and the manager were staff to the committee.
Since we
Settles
deal
it.
with the budget, finances, that makes sense.
Do you crunch numbers pretty good?
I try. As much as I love accounting. All right, so that settles that. Any other questions or any other changes needed? All right. So I guess best if I just read them all and then we could just make one motion. Sound fair?
Yeah.
All right. Park and Rec, it'll be Jane.
And Josh?
Save me the hassle of saying commissioner each time.
Jane?
Kennedy and Young. The COG would be Kennedy and Mullen. Authority Board is just myself. Scott asked if anybody else would take my place.
Mm.
Fire Board, myself, Mullen and Young. Historical, Evans and Tendero. Lincoln Highway, Young and Evans. Goff, Tendero, Mullen. Planning Commission, Tendero, Evans. Zoning, Evans, Tendero. Finance and Budget, Young and Mullen. And Pension, Young and Mullen. Entertain a motion to approve the liaison appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Kennedy. All in favor, say aye.
Question, at the last meeting, I had suggested that we create a rotating liaison for the school board.
Mhm.
Or any thought about that in the, since then, where, so that we can make sure we have somebody there at all times without one person being overwhelmed, because we each have so many meetings. How does everyone feel about that?
What was this for again?
The
School board.
School board?
School board. I'm just wondering, just,
Why, here's another option we can do, is we could try to, I'm, friends with, her name just got elected.
Yeah.
Now her name blanks me.
Yeah, I know.
I can try to see if we can have a one-on-one person,
Mhm.
you know, that can keep us, like, if there's something in Callan Township
That-
come up, they would
pertains
call
us,
either me
yes.
or you, or, and that way we know to go.
right,
Just
Just to be
I will tell
going.
you to try to get to 2 meetings a month
Oh,
about
yeah,
the
it's-
mundane, their
It is
discipline, you know,
all day long.
and their meetings are very long,
Mhm.
especially the committee meetings. So,
As
Liz Muir,
needed.
that's what I was thinking. of.
Liz
So I know her. I can reach out to her and say, hey, can you keep me informed of anything? I'll do the same. If anything for the school district comes up, I'll let you know. Myself and Stu Dietz did that back in the day when he was on the board. That way we didn't have to go to every meeting. He would just let me know if something was coming up for
Township
in Callan
elections.
Township, whether it be Callan Elementary or Reesville Elementary. And then vice versa, if there was a school board item on our agenda, we call it.
That makes more sense.
So I don't know if that appeases what you're, I think you're trying to be more informed and know what's
More
going on.
informed and have a presence, so that they know that we're the ones who pay majority of the school taxes in Coatesville Area School District, and that we're not just sitting back waiting to be told what they're going to do, that we kind of want a seat at the table. You know, when Josh and I were in there a lot for LERTA, it was mind-boggling. You know, the teachers were trying to get a minimal raise, and they're in there begging for a raise, and in the same meeting, the raise was turned down, and then the board gave themselves a big fat raise.
You are
And whose money is that?
ours.
All yours. 80% of the taxes you pay every year goes to Coatesville Area School District. So that's all. We can try that, and if it doesn't work, I'll try to find a way to at least get to the executives. You know, they have the one
The business, well,
business.
well,
meet-
I would say the committee meetings are where where it's formulated.
Yeah.
And should it pass out of a committee meeting, it usually passes the board.
Okay.
So, and you can sign up to talk at the beginning of each committee, just like we did with LERTA.
Mhm.
It is a little easier at the committee meeting because the business agenda, they do consent agendas.
Right.
So they only take items off that might be controversial or that people want to vote on,
Yeah.
and the rest of it is passed in an omnibus
Mhm.
motion.
Like we did tonight.
So yeah, I think the committee meetings are the more important ones because that's where the
Yeah.
policies formulated.
Let's see what Liz says.
And let me just add this comment. I mean, this is basically information. I mean, all we're able to do is attend these meetings, listen to what they have to say. We can interject, but it's not going to go anywhere.
Well,
So,
I mean, in
how do we get a seat at the table like Mark's suggesting? And
yeah, that is something that would be a longer term discussion, I think.
take care. Have a good night.
Like I said,
Night.
one bite at a time.
I mean, we did, the board organized at one point and we helped defeat the closure of Callan Elementary. It was slated for closure 10 plus years ago. So we organized people and brought them to the school board and explained why we didn't think it should close. One of the arguments was out of the 9 municipalities, we pay 1/3 of all the taxes.
Mhm.
And to not have a school in our township is criminal. So the board at that time, by a very close vote, I think it was 5-4, defeated the proposal to close Callan. So those type of things, like if that's
Okay.
coming up on the agenda,
And you want to do
we
that?
should,
That is important.
Right,
Yeah,
and
that is the goal.
and if we can I mean, I know Liz personally. I don't know if anybody else knows board members on this Coachella School Board, but fostering those relationships, I
Mhm.
think, is key because when it comes time, because it's back on the chopping. You know,
Callan
Proposed to
Elementary,
go
yeah.
back again.
Um,
so.
so those relationships are going to be important when that vote comes up because you know if you just show up when there's a problem, the board members are going to go, you're never here except for, and you never ask us, except for. So I think we can try that. If I know my schedule is too packed to continue to add more meetings to my schedule. So I would be easier for me to communicate with Liz and see where that gets us.
We met Liz. Oh,
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
she's
yeah, I
great.
remember. Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah,
great.
she was.
Want to start there?
We can start there.
And,
Yeah.
well, and then let me ask you this too. Do we need to attend every single meeting? I mean, if we know their agenda ahead of time and it's something that we are interested in
presence.
discussing, maybe that would be the best route for us.
The other thing is, when we did bring it, there's a tendency sometimes if something pops up at the meeting and we don't realize it, that I have spoke at the meetings before, but yeah, I think we have to be careful to speak as one board because even if you get up there and you say, I'm Josh Young, citizen Josh Young, the board still takes it as Commissioner Josh Young and that the board is behind me. So we need to make sure that we speak with one voice when we get up. So it'd be nice to have, like Liz call me a
Multiple-
week
everybody
beforehand
there.
and
Okay.
say, just so you know, this is coming up.
Or-
Because we need it as a board. If I just go and speak, they're going to assume, even if I try to tell them that I'm just talking as a citizen, that it is
On a label.
that it
You're
is
gonna
the
get
board's
labeled as
policy.
some-
You're Commissioner Young.
Right. So we had some discussions about that back when Vince and Chuck and Jim Cruz were here, because sometimes one of us might get up and speak, and even though we said we were citizens, it got back to the rest of the board members that we were speaking on behalf of the board. So we just got to be careful of doing that.
Is it possible to, I mean, I don't sign in, but is it possible to get their agenda sent to us?
I could ask Liz if she could have that happen. They typically don't post their agenda until the day before, just like us, because once you've posted it, it's harder to take it back.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah. True. Oh, good, yeah. We definitely need to get involved.
Yeah.
Yes.
So whatever avenue we're gonna take.
I'm good with reaching out to Liz and starting there.
Yeah.
And again, if anybody else knows board members, please
Yeah.
reach out to them and talk to them. I used to know more of them than I do now. The relationship building is key,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to some of these upcoming fights.
Are we interested in that Callan Elementary School?
We looked at it years ago.
Mhm.
We were talking about purchasing that from the school board,
Mhm.
but I think at the time it was probably 2009, 2010, and we were looking at 6+ million to renovate that building. Most of the
cheaper to
back
tear it
would need torn down
Yeah.
and rebuilt. The portion at the front would be rehabbed, but that's very expensive too. The other thing was in and out for the police department. Like, how would we essentially build a police station in the back, and how do we get them out in and out of there
Right.
in a timely manner? But yeah, that was discussed a long time ago. And somewhere, I'm sure in my basement somewhere, I have the proposal that an architect put together. So
Wow.
That is a much bigger and longer discussion.
Oh, I'm sure.
But at the same time,
It's coming up.
the option of doing a land swap with CSD is not out of the question. And if we were going to have a new township building, you couldn't do any better than that location right in the heart of Lincoln Highway. It would change the dynamics of everything on it. And the police could have this building, which I know the chief just dying to get into. this
Yeah,
building.
right.
But that's a much bigger discussion for another time.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Answer. All right. Guess we're done with that discussion.
I got a shed in my backyard you can work out.
All right, next on the agenda, the board consideration, it's a reappointment for the vacancy board. I did reach out to Ed Arts. He is still interested.
Cool.
All right, commissioners, if you had any, questions, concerns, if not, entertain a motion to reappoint Ed
So
Arts.
moved.
Second.
Moved. Commissioner Evans, second by Commissioner Young. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's good, 5-0. Welcome back, Ed. He's online. Okay, board and commissions updates. We'll start off with, Park and Rec. Any updates?
No, we haven't met yet. But we haven't had any meetings.
Just the last, the Christmas tree
Christmas.
lighting, that was
Mhm.
about it, okay.
Uh,
COG,
We last had a Christmas meeting. Oh, no. Yes,
Municipal Authority, just two items,
we'll meet
one,
next week, I think.
okay. At our December meeting, we just established the new sewer rates effective January 1st, 2024, along with, the 2024 operating and capital fund budgets. We also awarded the 2024 grouting project contract to Sewer Specialty Services in the amount of $141,622. The project will involve the cleaning, televising, and grouting of approximately 4,200 linear feet of 8-inch diameter gravity sewer.
What does that all mean?
What does that all mean?
Yeah.
We're tightening up our pipes so no infiltration. So when it rains like it did on Tuesday,
Hmm.
if you have grout that's missing in the pipes along, the interceptor down the main
Mhm.
strip or whatnot, all that water will just get in there into the pipe, travel
take all
down
the
to Dara or
sanitation with it.
Coatesville, and then we are spending money treating rainwater. So the
Jeez.
tighter our pipes are, the less water, the
Mhm.
more concentrated, we'll say. The
Do you do that on a quarterly basis?
No, we took the initiative, 5 years ago and started doing sections of our interceptor pipe because we found a lot of sections that were just leaking like a sieve.
Wow.
And that was just lost money at that point. So as much as we've been able to tighten this up, we've seen a huge savings in our cost of treatment.
Jane,
John?
if you look at Scott's report, you'll see the Dara flows for what's it 52 weeks.
52 week.
Yeah, 52-week average.
Mhm.
You can tell when it rains because if you look, the lines go like this and they
Wow.
come back down and then they go up and they come back down.
Yeah.
So you can see, and it's not just us. It's if you look at because there's the 5 municipalities, everybody spikes up when it rains, and then
rains?
spikes back down.
Okay.
And
better
what it does
flow.
is, and it overflows the plant. So
Wow.
the more rainwater that's in there, the more
less
the
flow.
plant gets flooded and less gets treated. It gets sent right
Mhm.
back out to the stream. So
Amazing.
Well, at that point, it's diluted.
it's diluted, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
still
But still.
Yeah.
So that's been that project.
So do you guys test for like COVID and everything? I hear like there's a lot of wastewater places that actually can go in and
I've
do
read articles.
samples of,
Yeah.
to see actually where
do
there
it,
were
you
like
know.
high percentage ratings of cases based on wastewater
Mhm.
treatment
I've
facilities.
read stories about that, and Don, you have a look on your face like you have an answer?
I believe the larger systems do have received funding that's highly specialized, but I don't believe. We can look into it.
Well, I think we need to spend any money on that, but
Well, there might be
they
funds
do.
available for it, but yeah, they're using samples all the time just to track where there are like high levels of COVID cases.
That's how they do the studies, yeah.
Yeah,
in the
through
cities.
wastewater. Yeah.
You can find out a lot from wastewater. Important stuff.
Yeah.
Come to our meeting,
You're right.
my cell point. All right, Dara did not meet in December, so no report on that. Fire board, we did not meet.
just as a note, on Monday, the fire company has a special election for president of the fire company. So right now they have no president. They have a vice president, but no president. But they have a special meeting scheduled Monday at 7 p.m. to elect the president.
Historical Commission.
Well, the Historical Commission capped off our 2023 on Wednesday, December 20th. We had a quorum with 10 of 11 members present. We approved sending a letter of inquiry to the directors of Copeland Run Academy, the early learning school founded decades ago by Mary Louise Lloyd in her own home. We've been interested in learning more about her legacy in the beautiful mid-century modern house and can't wait to hear back. We also heard from all our subcommittees and discussed the importance of marketing and social media in 2024. But the highlight of the night was after the meeting, when we celebrated with a visit from Santa himself, coffee and cookies. Might have had a township manager and a couple of commissioners and friends show up. And we also might have taken a little trip over to Spackman Davis Farm to sing carols around the tree that the Historical Commission decorated. This team mixes work and play always. And it's why they get so much done. Thank you to everyone at the Historical Commission. Our January meeting will be next Wednesday, the 17th at 7 p.m. You can join us right here live or from home via Zoom. We've got big plans for the coming year and beyond. Please consider coming to one of our meetings and please consider joining Parks and Rec. Without their help, our historic events would not be possible. They meet the first Monday of each month.
Good report. Next, Lincoln Highway.
I don't have a report for you this month.
We were about ready to start exploring some.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have some reports this year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, we haven't met yet to do that.
All right, and last but not least, Ingleside Golf Course. Do we have any updates on that?
Well, last thing that we discussed is that the finances had exceeded expectations, which is good for the end of the year. Nicole was working on a newsletter that eventually will be emailed out to everyone. And we did receive our 55 carts. They did come in. So that's the latest with the golf.
I believe that we had a death in the golf course family last Friday. A long-time employee of the golf course passed. So if we can all keep everyone at the golf course, you know, keep them in our hearts. That we came to a shock. I think. Those carts are beautiful.
All right, additional business. And at this time, public comment?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did we vote on the checks?
Yes. Did we?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Public comment? None at this time. All right, next on the agenda is adjournment. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, all in four. Yeah, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
I forgot to use the.
Thank you.
Up, Nancy Lee.
Oh. Did we have somebody
You did.
still there? I know we adjourned, but you want to bring her on? Right. Got them? And who do we have online?
Nancy Lee.
Nancy?
Okay.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, so I didn't undo the camera, but I live at 310 South Callan Road. And I was just I was told that Mr. Stackhouse is not at the meeting tonight, and he might be the one that we need to talk to about this. I know myself and my neighbor that lives at 205 South Callan, we have I guess a hazardous road condition going on now from a I guess a accident that occurred right across from my property on the 205 South Callan Roads property about 2 weeks ago today, when I guess a tree truck and a chipper went off road and went down over the bank, crashing through the fence and down into a creek. And to get it out, they had to tow it out, which removed most of the bank directly across from my mailbox. And I know right now there's no fence there, but I've lived here since 1986, and I've witnessed many cars hit that fence, go through that fence, hit and run that fence. And the neighbors that have been here for a long time have been wondering if we can get a guardrail put up there, because as it stands now, it's very hazardous. If one tire goes off the road across from my mailbox, they're going to start to go downhill towards that creek, because the bank is completely gone now. And I know the owner of the property, he was online on Zoom with us tonight. I don't know if he's still on, but he's had the truck's insurance company come over and look at the I guess the area that was affected, where the fence was taken out and the bank was taken out. And they're not sure, they said that it would need an engineer to come to, I guess, estimate the damage to the bank and how to rebuild that back up. But it just seems, as it stands now, if the property owner leaves it like that, right now there's just a yellow crime scene tape that's across there now, that with the continued heavy rains, it's gonna probably cause more erosion of that bank.
Okay,
And
Nancy,
yes.
yeah, what we can do here is, our township manager's here. We can ask him to connect with Ray tomorrow.
And Ms. Lee, actually, I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Stackhouse regarding this issue earlier today at length. I know he is taking it very seriously. We're a great deal of focus on that location, and taking all necessary steps to make sure when something is installed, to resolve the matter, it's done appropriately, safely, and professionally. So we are, we're going through the necessary process to survey, to look at the crash data over the history of that area, and to develop and design the appropriate measures to ensure it's safe.
Okay, I know I did have some correspondence with Mr. Stackhouse through email, and it sounded to me at first that he had not came out and looked at the situation that as it stands now. And I'm just concerned that with the continued rainstorms that we're predicted to have, that there could be possible damage, like to the road itself, with the deteriorating bank eroding even more, which could cause that road to buckle or sinkhole possibly. Or there is an underground spring that I know there's probably not much you can do about that comes from another neighbor's driveway that runs down that road. It's actually flowing pretty good right now, and that causes a lot of problems when the temperature drops and that freezes up. I've witnessed 3 cars in one morning go off road there and hit into that fence. One of
I
the
can
3
assure you that
Yeah.
Mr. Stackhouse has visited the location.
Yeah.
We had a very detailed conversation today, and feel free, if you'd like to give me a call first thing tomorrow. Be more than happy to see what we can do to expedite the situation at that location, to make sure, because those do sound like some pretty serious concerns. And I think if you care to give me a call first thing, we can certainly go through and see what we can do to make sure it's safe and protected at that location.
Yeah, I know he had mentioned that they have to follow some PennDOT guidelines as
We are bound by regulations to make sure, and it's not just to protect the township, it's also to protect property owners. We want to make sure if something is installed it's installed properly. If
Right.
there's an issue that arises, we want to make sure that we've done it correctly. So we are
Mhm.
taking every step possible to ensure that anything that's done there, when it's done to the best possible ability at that location.
Okay, I know, do you know, is that a long process as far as getting, approval or I guess guidelines pertaining?
Every
to the
process
agenda?
is unique and, operates on its own speed, but I can, based on my conversation earlier today, this is something we're taking very seriously at the township. And
Okay,
we'd be happy to keep you informed through the process.
okay, and is there an extension that I can reach you at if I need to contact you?
Of
At their-
course, my extension number is 114.
Okay, got it.
All right. Thank
John,
you so
just a-
much, Nancy.
Just a quick question. If she goes on the PennDOT website, it was 1-800 Fix Road. Is that the PennDOT telephone number? So Nancy, the state tracks how they respond to resident complaints. So
Mhm.
if you go on to their website and you create a work order, PennDOT they track how fast they come out, how fast they respond to those items. Because it is correct me if I'm wrong, Southtown Road is a state road or is it a township road?
It's a township road.
Okay, then the PennDOT won't help you there. But I'm thinking North Callan, that's a state road. So yeah, but we'll definitely look into it and get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, I know, the man that owns the property, he said, he was not thinking that he wanted to I guess to, put the fence back up. He was gonna run it behind the creek instead of in front, which would leave that area wide open to, anybody that just went one tire off the road over to there, or even a pedestrian at this point is in danger. If they try to step off the road to get out of the way of traffic, they're gonna go down too. But I know, there's no sidewalks in most of Cowan Township, and but we do have a lot of pedestrians that go up and down here every day. And bicycles, I know, but
All
I
right,
just,
Nancy.
yeah,
Yeah, we were trying to wrap up here.
Okay.
Your point is well taken, and I know our township manager, Don, will check in with Ray. And if you can, just give him a call tomorrow, just to touch base with him.
okay,
Great. Thank you so much.
thank you.
What do we have one more? Oh, okay. Mark, you there?
Still muted.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Sorry, I would have saving this. It can wait till next meeting or whatever, but just I know all your agendas are busy with all the meetings, and we know the school district is the biggest tax cost on our folks. So if you guys didn't have time to go there, just give some thought to forming maybe a citizens committee where we have 5 people, and 3 or 4 of us could be present at every meeting, and that might help down the road. I don't know what you think about that or whether that would be helpful, but just wanted to throw it out there.
Okay. Well, thank you for the thought there. Appreciate it, Mark. Anyone else? We're adjourned, right? Well, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Yep.